Okay, in this lesson, we're still talking about algebraic expressions, but we're going to learn how to simplify and evaluate. Simplifying expressions simply lessens the number of terms by combining like terms. Remember, terms are separated by addition and subtraction. Like terms have the exact same variable with the exact same exponent. For example, 8x and 10x, those are like terms. They have the same variable x with the understood exponent of 1. If I had 8x and 10y, we could not combine those. They're not like terms. Or if we had 8x and 10x squared, these are not like terms. I could not combine those. So we're going to use the following mathematical properties to simplify our expressions. So the additive inverse, we are going to add the opposite. So now we can add these two like terms together, and we went from 2 terms to 1 term. The distributive property says that we are going to multiply this coefficient by every term within the parentheses. So when we have parentheses, we always need to apply the distributive property. Commutative property lets us move terms around. So if I move around this negative x and bring it up with the 5x, because these are like terms, and then I move the negative 10 to the end, I can now combine these to get 5x minus 1x and then minus 10. So I went from 3 terms to 2 terms, simplified. In this example, we can practice the associative property. So we can group however we want, because all of these terms are like terms. We can combine them all. So we can either add the first 2 first and then the last one, or we could combine the last 2 and then the first. It doesn't matter, you're gonna get the same answer. So if we go 3x minus 7x, that gives us negative 4x, minus the 2x gives us negative 6x. Or if we did the last 2, negative 7x minus 2x, that is negative 9x, and then we still have the 3x. This gives us the negative 6x. So again, we simplified from 3 terms to a single term. Okay, let's practice these. So we are going to combine like terms. Again, always take note of the operation in front. 8x plus 2x is 10x. Then we have a negative 9 and a positive 5. That gives us minus 4. We went from 4 terms to 2 terms. Number 2, we're going to distribute the 2 first. We get 6x minus 2 minus 1x. I'm going to combine my x terms, 6x minus 1x, and then the minus 2. In example 3, we have several things going on. Remember, if you have parentheses, you always need to dissolve the parentheses by using the distributive property first. So I'm going to just bring down the 5x, and this is an understood negative 1, and we're going to distribute to the terms inside the parentheses. And now let's combine our x terms, 5x minus 4x minus 2x. So 5x minus 4x is 1x. 1x minus 2x is negative 1x, or just negative x. Then we have negative 3 plus 7. That gives us plus 4. Okay, pause the video. You practice these problems before we move on to the next part of our lesson. So algebraic expressions can be used to represent real life or real world situations. And then we will apply the mathematical properties to simplify. So this says Lola runs around a pentagonal part, pentagon meaning 5 sides, 3 of the pathways each measure twice some number minus 6. So we're going to bring back in our previous lessons of translating some phrases. So we have the other 2 paths, each measured half the distance as one of the 3 distances. Determine the perimeter that Lola ran. Okay, so we have this pentagonal part. We have this side and this side that measure the same, and then 3 sides that measure the same. So if we're going to write our formula, which is always important, and I'm just going to write it not as an equation since we're still talking about expressions. So we have 3 lengths that are the same. So 3 times length 1 through 3 plus the 2 other sides, because perimeter is adding all the sides around an object. And we have 2 sides, whatever the length is for 4 and 5. So we have 3 sides the same plus 2 sides. Perimeter is adding all the sides. So now let's look at the 3 sides that are the same. 3 of the pathways each measure twice some number. So twice some number x minus 6. So we have 2x minus 6, 2x minus 6, and 2x minus 6. The other 2 paths each measured half of this distance, so half of 2x minus 6. So we are going to say 1/2, and then we do have to use parentheses here because it's half of this difference. Okay, now we're going to take and plug in these components into our formula. So we have 3 for the formula, and then this length, each of these, we're going to represent as 2x minus 6 plus the 2 other sides. So this time we have 2 1/2 times 2x minus 6. So I use brackets for we have 2 from the formula, and then our expression already had parentheses. Okay, so here's our expression, and now we can simplify this. I'm going to distribute, and I get 6x minus 18 plus, okay guys, 2 times 1/2, 2 times 1/2, half of 2 is 1, so this really gives me a coefficient of 1 times 2x minus 6. Now we are going to simplify, so we distributed. We're going to combine 6x plus 2x is 8x, minus 18 and minus 6 is minus 24. So this represents the perimeter of the pathway. Okay, you pause the video, make sure you write your formula, and then write an expression for each component, and then input the components into your formula. Remember, whenever you are writing an expression for like length and width, you're going to use the same type of variable. I use x. So when you write your components, make sure you use one type of variable. Okay, pause the video and then come back. Okay, evaluating expressions typically indicates finding the value, hence evaluating, finding the value of an expression. To evaluate an expression, the value must be given to you. Okay, so to evaluate an expression, the value of the variable must be given. So once it is given to you in the problem, you're going to plug the given value for the indicated variable. And a lot of times we have to use parentheses to make sure we don't miscalculate. Once we plug in the value in for the variable, then we're going to apply the order of operations. So our order of operations, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So we always do parentheses first, or we can say the grouping symbols. Then we evaluate any exponents. And then going from left to right, whatever comes first, going from left to right, multiplication or division. And then last, we add or subtract. Again, whichever comes first, going from left to right. So parentheses or grouping symbols, exponents, multiply or divide, and then add or subtract. Okay, so let's take a look at example number 5. Before we evaluate, we are going to simplify first. So I'm going to apply the distributive property. 8x plus 3y minus 3x plus 5y. Now we have some x terms, 8x minus 3x, and then we have some y terms, positive 3y and positive 5y. Now we have simplified, and now we can substitute 4 for x, negative 2 for y. This is much easier than plugging in 4 a couple of different places and negative 2 a few different places. So always simplify if you can first. So 5, we're going to insert 4 for x and insert negative 2 for y. Order of operations, we're going to multiply and then add last. 5 times 4 is 20. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. 20 minus 16 is 4, our final answer. Okay, so pause the video, practice these problems, and this is the last of this lesson, but make sure you simplify the expression before evaluating. Then